Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm Josh Strife Hayes, and this is a complete beginner's guide to Final Fantasy XIV. This guide is aimed at people who have never played an MMORPG before and will explain absolutely everything you'll need to know. This guide is extremely detailed. If you know what you're looking for, you can skip to any section using the timecodes in the video description. But if you're new to the game and the genre, then grab a cup of tea and settle in. We have a lot to cover. 1. What is Final Fantasy XIV? Final Fantasy XIV is a massively multiplayer online role-playing game published by Square Enix. It's a third-person fantasy adventure game set in the fictional land of Eorzea. You'll take control of a unique hero and travel through the land, following an epic storyline, completing quests, or fighting enemies. You'll be doing all this in real time with millions of other people. Even though it's called Final Fantasy XIV, it's not the 14th part of a series. The Final Fantasy games may all share the name Final Fantasy, but they're not actually connected, so you don't have to worry about missing any backstory. The original Final Fantasy XIV released in 2010, but was very poorly received and shut down. It was then recreated and improved and relaunched as Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. This is the version we'll be playing. The game is available on PC, Mac, and PlayStation 4. If you're playing on PC, you can download the game from the official Square Enix website or from Steam. Both versions are exactly the same, and you can play with your friends even if they have the other version. But remember, when you buy the expansions, you'll need to buy them for that specific version. The game's servers allow for cross-platform play between all game versions. This means if you're playing the game on PC and your friends are playing on Mac and PS4, don't worry, you can all meet up and adventure together. You'll need to be on the same data center though, but I'll explain that later on. Final Fantasy XIV is completely free to start. You can download the free trial and begin playing immediately. Previously, the free trial limited the amount you could do, but now that's changing. On the 11th of August in 2020, the free trial was expanded and now includes the entire base game and the first official expansion pack called Heaven's Ward. I'll explain the expansions later on. Once you've played through the huge amount of free content and reached the next expansion, you'll need to pay a monthly subscription to continue playing. At the time of making this guide, the monthly sub costs about $13. You'll need a free Square Enix account to play the game. You'll be asked to set one up when you download the free trial. It's just giving it your email address and setting up a password. So let's say you're a brand new player and you've downloaded the free trial. What next? I'll be playing on PC, so all the footage on the guide will be from the PC version, but it will apply to the console versions as well. First, let's look at choosing your world. 2. Datacentres and Worlds. Once you've downloaded the game, you'll be able to log in and play, but to make sure you're playing on the same specific world as your friends, we need to take a quick look at data centers. Final Fantasy XIV has 3 main regions, online hosting servers that cover a large geographical area. There's a Japanese server, a North American server, and a European server. To help the game run smoother, it's best to connect to the server that's physically closest to you. As I'm based in England, I'll be playing on the European one. If you want to be playing with your friends, you'll need to be playing on the same server and the same data center. These are more specific than servers. Let's look at them. From the main game menu, I can head into the data center option. Each of the 3 geographical servers are broken down into data centers. The European server has 2 data centers, one called Chaos, the other called Light. Each data center is then broken down further into worlds. You can see the lists on screen now, showing the various worlds within each data center. Each world is an identical copy of the game. You'll choose a world to play on, and your character will exist on that world. If you and your friends are all on the same world, you'll be able to see and interact with each other. If someone you know is playing on the same data center but a different world, don't worry, you can still team up with them. There's a system that allows you to visit different worlds as long as it's the same data center. Some worlds are known as preferred worlds. These are relatively sparsely populated, and you'll get bonuses such as increased experience if you make a character on a preferred world. You can find which worlds are currently preferred by checking the Online World Status webpage. I'll leave a link in the video description below. It might sound complex, so let's go through it. Let's say I want to join the world Louis Soir, as I know my friend plays on that world. I can see it's listed under the Chaos data center. So I check the world status on the webpage, and while it is online and working, it's not preferred, meaning my leveling will be slower. Not a problem. If I choose a preferred world within the same Chaos data center, I'll still be able to visit him, and I'll get faster experience, so I'll go with Omega. 3. Creating a character. This is the character creation screen. In the top right, you'll see the world Omega has been selected, meaning this character will exist on this world. First, we need to pick a race and a gender. There are 5 races available to free players: the human-like Hayor, the sleek and graceful Elazen, the tiny and adorable Lalafell, the cat-like Miqo'te, or the imposing Rogadin. While technically this choice can affect your abilities and skills late in the game, it's such a minute difference that you should consider this purely aesthetic. Pick what you like. If you own the expansions, you'll have access to some new and exclusive races. Then select which specific clan you're from. This will change your racial appearance and very slightly adjust your starting stats, shown on the left-hand side. Don't worry about the numbers for now. Pick what looks cool. After you've selected a clan, you've got a load of customization options. On the left-hand side, you'll see a list of stuff you can change. Click on the specific thing, then you'll see the choices available on the right. You can customize everything from your height to your eye color, so have a play around. In the bottom right, you'll notice it says Environment. Changing this changes the background and lets you see how you'll look in different places. Once you're happy and you've clicked both ticks, you can save your appearance data in case you want to create an identical looking character on a different world later. Now pick a birthday. Final Fantasy XIV uses different names for the months, but there's still 12 of them. You don't have to pick your actual birthday. Now choose a patron deity. You have a choice of 12. This choice doesn't really matter, it's purely for your own personal backstory. Now a more important choice, choosing a starting class. Each class uses a different type of weapon and handles differently in combat. This might be how you begin the game, but it won't be how you play forever. Once you've reached a higher level, Final Fantasy XIV actually lets you change class and level them all. You can swap freely between each class simply by changing your weapon, so you'll be able to experience absolutely everything. The classes are divided into 2 broad groups, the Disciples of War or the Disciples of Magic. The War classes prefer fighting by hitting stuff with physical things, and the Magic classes are all about, well, magic. Later in the game, you'll be able to evolve your class into a job, which makes it even better. I'll explain this more later on. For now, I'm going to choose to be an archer. The game checks one more time I'm happy with my starting world before asking me to pick a name, and we can log in. But as you see, we're in a queue of people. Final Fantasy XIV is one of the most popular online games ever, so if this happens, just wait a bit. You'll be on soon. The intro cinematic will play. It's super important you understand, this is very much a Final Fantasy game when it comes to story. There's a lot of cutscenes, lots of characters, and lots of very well written quests, so take your time and enjoy the story. Now we've made a character, we can get to grips with the game. Number 4. The user interface. When you start playing, this is what you'll see, your character front and center. If you're playing on PC or Mac, the W, A, S and D keys move you forwards, backwards, or turn you left and right. The Q and E keys allow you to strafe run left or right, and the spacebar is jump. A quick PC-only note. Holding the left mouse button down while moving the mouse will rotate the camera independently of your character as they move, but holding the right mouse button will lock the camera behind your character, so you'll always be moving forward relative to you. Your character's name will appear above their head. You'll notice this little green sprout symbol to the left of your name. This shows other people that you're a new player, so they won't expect too much of you. In the top left, once you're actually on a quest, you'll see your current main story quest. We'll talk about quests later on. In the bottom left, you'll see the chat box. This will show messages typed by yourself or other players and important in-game information. See the tabs below it saying General, Battle or Event? You can switch between these to make sure the chat box is only showing stuff relevant to that thing. General lets you see most things, and Battle will show how much damage you're hitting or is being hit against you. We'll leave it in General for now. To the bottom center, you've got your hotbars made up of individual hotkeys. You'll see these blank squares with numbers 1 to 9, then 0 on the end. If I were to assign an item, like a healing potion, to one of these hotkeys, I could use it simply by clicking the correct key. You've got a few basic abilities already placed there, but we don't need these yet. In the very bottom right, you'll see a number next to a gold coin. This shows how much of the in-game currency, known as Gil, you're carrying. To the bottom right above the Gil counter, you'll see 7 red circles in a row. Let's go through them quickly. This might seem overwhelming, but remember, we'll look at them more in depth later on. The first is Character, and will let you access everything to do with your own stats and your current class. Actions and Traits will let you see what skills you have as your current class. Currency shows how rich you are in various ways, and the Character menu will show your vital stats and everything you currently have equipped. The Armoury chest is a place to store equipable items, and the Inventory is a general storage space for consumables or quest items. The next circle is Duty. Don't worry about this yet, you'll use it later on when you're fighting harder enemies. The Log circle tracks how many of a specific enemy you've killed, resource you've collected, or item you've crafted. The Travel menu will eventually let you move around the world quicker, from teleporting to Aether Shards or making your mount faster. From now, all you'll be able to access is the world map. The Party circle will let you see who you're grouped with or find a group of people to join. We'll discuss parties later. The next circle is Social. Player Search lets you find your friends and add them to your in-game friends list, join fellowships and clans, or add annoying players to a blacklist. The final red circle is the system options, from in-game support to changing the graphics. We won't go into this one too much. In the top right, you'll see your minimap. As standard, north is to the top, and as you spin, you'll see your blue character icons spin. But if you click the Unlock Minimap button, you'll be locked to face up, and the map will spin around you instead. I like it locked. You can zoom in or out by clicking the plus and minus buttons next to it, and if you click on the minimap, you'll open the much larger world map. If you don't like the layout of the UI, then don't worry. You can move pretty much everything. Every element can be clicked, dragged, and resized, so you can make your heads-up display look exactly how you like. Right, with all that covered, let's play the game. Number 5. Travel and Transport. Eorzea is a big place, and while it's possible to just run everywhere, it'll take you a long time to cross the world, so you've got a few options to make your journey a bit quicker. If you open the world map, that's the M key on PC, you'll be able to see where you are and some local information. It can be quite overwhelming, so let's break it down. While Final Fantasy XIV is a big game, it doesn't all load at once. It's broken down into smaller, self-contained zones. When you reach the edge of your current zone, you'll see a line of glowing lights. These just mark the transition points from zone to zone. When you open the world map, it will show your current zone. You'll see these red arrows pointing off from various paths. These are the new zones. The name of that zone will appear next to its arrow. You can click on the zone name to open the map of that zone. But if you haven't been there yet, you won't actually be able to see the layout of the land. The world map will also be covered in various icons. These all show you points of interest, such as places you can accept quests, local shops or services, or the Aetheryte network. You'll come to recognize all these in time. For now, let's talk about the Aetheryte network. Whenever you visit a major city, you'll see a huge glowing blue crystal. This is an Aetheryte. To activate it, simply walk up to it and interact with it. When you activate your first one, you'll learn the Return spell. This is a free spell you can cast every 15 minutes and will return you to your home Aetheryte. Once you've activated any of them, you can set it as your home point. You'll see the spell has been added to your hotbar. All the Aetheryte across the land form a connected transport map. You can also open your world map and click on any activated Aetheryte to go directly there. It costs a small amount of gil to do this. The further you travel, the more it costs, but it does save a lot of time. Within each city, there'll be one large main Aetheryte and several smaller Aethernet shards. If you're in a city and have activated the smaller shards by interacting with them once, you can use the Aethernet shards to travel to any other Aethernet shard in that city for free. Once you've reached level 10 in your class, you'll be able to visit a Chocobo Keep. Chocobos are two-legged birds that have appeared in multiple Final Fantasy games. You'll be able to rent one to carry you to a local city. If you do rent a Chocobo, the journey is automated, so you can sit back and enjoy the view. You can hop off a rented Chocobo at any time. Once you reach level 20, you'll get your own Chocobo. You're able to ride it around almost anywhere. It's useful to know a little bit about your character before you go running off to adventure, so let's look at the character stats. Number 6. Character stats. Open your character window, that's the C button on PC. You'll be able to see all the important information about your character. There are 3 tabs at the top: Attributes, Profiles, and Classes Jobs. Let's go through these. The top green bar is your HP, or hit points. This is how much damage you can take before you die. When this drops to 0, you're dead. We'll discuss combat later on. The red bar shows your MP, or mana points. Mana is used to cast spells or use certain abilities. Under this, you've got your 5 main attributes. Your strength affects the damage you do in close combat. Your dexterity is focused on ranged combat. There are, however, classes that go against this. The rogue and ninja use dexterity as their primary damage stat instead of strength. Your vitality relates to your maximum hit points. Higher means more. Your intelligence and mind both relate to your magical damage and healing ability. Under these, you'll see your offensive properties. Critical hit rate measures how often you'll score a powerful hit against an enemy. Determination measures how much damage your physical and magical attacks will do, and direct hit rate measures how often you'll score a direct hit, which is like a critical hit but not quite as good. To the right, you'll see both of your defensive values, with regular defense reducing incoming damage from physical attacks and magical defense reducing it from magical attacks. Some classes also have parry, which shows your chance of blocking an incoming attack entirely. The physical properties only have 2 parts: attack power and attack speed. Power is all about how much damage you do when you hit something, and speed shows how quickly your skills will cool down and be ready to use again. We'll come back to this later when we look at combat. Your mental properties show attack magic potency. That's the damage you do when using offensive magic. The healing magic properties, which increase the amount of hit points restored when healing yourself or others, and the spell's speed, which can increase the rate you can use certain magical skills. Finally, you've got your gear, which shows your average item level. All equipped items have a certain item level. Higher usually means it's a better item. Some challenges or bosses in the game recommend you to have a certain minimum item level before attempting them. Finally, your role stats show tenacity and piety. Tenacity only applies to tank classes and increases your physical and magical defense. Piety only applies to healers and increases the restore rate of your mana points, meaning you can cast more spells. That's the Attributes tab covered. Now let's check out Profile. It simply lists your name, race, where you started the game, birthday, and patron deity. You don't need to worry about this tab too much. The final tab is Classes and Jobs, and this needs a small section all of its own. Number 7. Classes, Jobs, and Roles. Classes are an RPG staple, and simply put, it's how you'll approach combat. Each class has a specific fighting style and a specific weapon they'll use. All classes fall into one of 3 main gameplay roles. These roles will work together to defeat the enemy. The roles are tank, healer, or damage dealer. The role of a tank is to take all the enemy's damage and keep the enemy's attention. The tank usually has extremely high hit points and high defensive stats, but doesn't do much damage. The healer is responsible for keeping everyone alive. A healer will spend most of their time healing the tank because that's the player taking the most damage. And finally, the DPS. That stands for damage per second. These classes will kill the enemy. DPS classes can be focused on close-up melee damage, ranged physical damage, or ranged magical damage, but they're all trying to do the same thing: reduce the enemy's hit points to 0. Remember, while these may be general battlefield roles, they are all capable of more. Both tanks and healers can put out large amounts of damage in the right situation, and DPS classes can vastly increase their defense if they are built that way. When you started the game, you chose a class, and while this may be what you are now, it won't be what you are forever. As you play through and gain experience and increase in level, you'll be able to switch to the other classes and train them too. Each class levels independently, and when you switch classes, your previous level is saved, so you won't lose any progress. You'll need to be a few levels into the game before you're able to switch classes, and each class has a class quest you'll need to finish before you can start training it. Once you get really good at any specific class at level 30, you'll be able to upgrade it into a job. Think of jobs as more advanced forms of that class. A level 30 Lancer can upgrade to the job of Dragoon. A level 30 Gladiator can become a Paladin. Some of the newer jobs included with the expansions start at higher levels and don't have a base class. The job system is a far more advanced feature and we'll cover it in another guide. For now, just worry about your starting class. Once you've got multiple classes, it's super simple to switch between them. All you need to do is switch your weapon. You'll immediately become the class or job of the weapon you're holding. With that, let's look at equipping items and the stats those items have. Number 8. Equipment. The right-hand side of your character window shows your current level, class, and equipped items. If you hover over an item, or on a console simply select it, you'll be able to see what specific stats that item has. Let's work through one weapon and one piece of armor. This is the basic bow. The name of the item is shown at the top, and just under it, you'll see it says Archer's Arm. That means it's an armament of the Archer class, and equipping it makes my class Archer. The colourful glow of an item shows its rarity. There are 5 levels of rarity. They go from common, which is white, through pink, green, blue, and finally purple, which is a relic item. Some items, from weapons to armour or collection materials, might have a little flourish to the right-hand side of their name. This shows they're high-quality items and will have slightly better stats than the normal version. Then we've got physical damage. The higher this number, the more damage the weapon will do. Next, auto attack. This shows how much damage I'll do if I allow my character to fight using their basic attack with no special abilities. Then next to that, delay. This number shows how long I have to wait between my weapon's auto attacks. Quicker weapons will have a shorter delay. We'll look at combat later on. The item level is a general overview of how good this piece is. Higher means better. You'll then see some 3-letter acronyms. This shows what class or job is able to use this weapon. In this case, it's Archer and Bard. Under that, there will be a level requirement. In this case, it's level 1. You must be at least this level to wield this item. The crafting and repairs bit is interesting. As you fight, and if you die, your equipment will begin to break. When it breaks fully, you won't lose it, but it will become much less effective. You can pay a merchant to fix it for you, or fix it yourself. This number shows you what level you'll have to have in a crafting skill to fix it yourself. We'll look at merchants and trade skills later on. The condition number shows how close to breaking your weapon or item is. 100% means it's absolutely fine, 0 is broken. You can actually see the condition of all equipped items at a glance. See those blue vertical bars around the side of your equipped items? That's the condition of each piece. The next word is Spirit Bond. Now, I really like this system. As you fight, craft, or otherwise gain experience while wearing this item, your Spirit Bond percent will increase. When it reaches 100, you can extract a single piece of materia from the item. Doing this resets the Spirit Bond back down to 0 and you can start again. Materia is solid magical energy and has been present in almost every Final Fantasy game. You can use materia to enhance or upgrade your weapons and armor. It's more of a late game thing, so don't worry about it too much for now. Repairing items when they break also needs a material called dark matter. You'll be able to see how many and what quality dark matter you need here. Quick repair shows how much a merchant in town will charge you to repair the item. The next 3 attributes, extractable, projectable, and desynthesizable, are mid to late game things and you won't need to worry about them yet. Then finally, the shop selling price and sells for price shows you how much it would cost if you were to buy this and then how much you'd get if you sold this to an NPC. That was a weapon. Now armor is exactly the same, except instead of damage and auto attack stats, it shows how much physical and magical defense that piece will give you. Now you know your equipment. You'll need somewhere to store it when you're not wearing it, so we can examine the armory and the inventory. Number 9. Armoury and Inventory. In most MMORPGs, carrying around so many pieces of equipment and weapons would be difficult, but Final Fantasy XIV has a super clever system to make it really easy. Open your inventory and your armory. On PC, that's hotkey I and Control I, or you can find them from your character menu. Your armory will store all your equipable items and is sorted by section. You can click on the icons to the side of the armory window to cycle through. You can see we don't have much, but we do have a single ring in the armory. If I hover over it, or on console were to select it, I can see its stats, 1 defense and 1 magic defense. Importantly, I can see the numbers in brackets after these stats. Those numbers in brackets show me what will change if I were to equip this item. Green means a stat will go up, and red means it would go down. My character sheet shows I have a spare ring slot, so I right-click on the ring in my armory and choose Equip. I'm now wearing it and getting the benefits from it. When you finish your level 10 class quest, you'll unlock gear sets. This feature allows you to save specific combinations of gear and quickly change between them. This is useful for preparing for specific situations or gearing up different classes. Along with the armory, you've also got an inventory. All non-equipable items will be stored here: food and drink, crafting materials, or materia. You've got several tabs of inventory you can cycle through, so you've got a lot of space. The 5th tab shows your shard, crystal, and cluster collection. Don't worry about this for now. And the final tab is your key items. If you get given something super important or essential for a quest, it will be stored here, so you can't lose it or accidentally sell it. If an item has some sort of use, like drinking a potion, you can select the item, right-click if you're playing on PC, and choose Use. You can also place usable items from your inventory onto your hotbar below. Remember the grayed out squares at the bottom of the screen. Then by pressing the hotkey button, be that the number on the keyboard or a controller input, you'll use that item. This is useful for when you're in combat and don't want to open your inventory. Some items like skills have a recast timer. This means once you've used them, you'll need to wait a few seconds before you can use them again. You'll see a circle timer overlay on the item which decreases slowly, so you know when you can use it again. Equipment and items can be found throughout the world. If an object on the floor can be interacted with or picked up, it will have a sparkle effect shown above it. Just approach it and click on it or press the button on the controller. The most common place to find items will be in shops, so let's look at NPCs and merchants next. Number 10. NPCs and shops. The person standing in front of me is an NPC, that's non-player character. All NPCs have names, and some have special roles in the game, such as leading a guild or owning a shop. If the NPC has a special role, they'll have it displayed under their name in little pointed brackets. Most NPCs will talk to you, and some are able to sell you goods or buy things from you. I'll click on this shop owner and he'll give me a list of specific shop interfaces I could open. I'm a Disciple of War, so I'll choose that one. Then weapon range 1 to 9 and open the shop interface. The current stock tab will be selected by default. What the shop owner has is listed on the left. You can hover over or scroll through to see what stats each item has. If the shopkeeper only has a limited amount of that item, it will be shown in the quantity column. Then the price is shown in the price column. I can't afford any of this stuff right now, but I can sell something. The ring from earlier. To sell, you can click and drag an item from your inventory to the shopkeeper goods window, or right-click your item and select sell, like this. But what if I suddenly regret selling something and want to buy it back? That's fine. You can click on the buyback tab and see a list of the last 10 items you've sold to this vendor. You can buy them back for the same price you sold them for, so you won't lose any gil. Shops on the world map show up as little bag icons, so you can always find one. So now we understand ourselves and the world a little better. We're geared up and know how shops work. Let's go on an adventure. 11. Quests. Sometimes an NPC will have a quest icon above their head. Accepting and completing quests is one of the earliest ways that you'll level up, gain new items and equipment, and unlock new areas of the world. Each quest can only be completed once, except repeatable ones. To start a quest, just interact with the NPC, or on PC right-click the quest icon above their head. You'll be shown what the quest is called, the rewards you'll get for completing it, and what you're actually required to do. There are 3 main shapes of quest icons you'll see. A more flourished comet-style border, a smoother, more speech bubble border, and a smooth speech bubble with a plus symbol next to it. The more detailed edging is a main story quest. You'll need to accept these and follow the epic adventure. The main story quest is an essential part of Final Fantasy XIV, and following it through will help level your starting class. It is a long quest line, but it's very, very well written. The smooth quest edging is a secondary quest, still worth doing, but not actually essential to the main story. And the final symbol is the smooth edging with a small plus symbol next to it. This is a content quest and means completing this quest will unlock something new, like an area, an ability, or a class. Content quests are usually blue. Once you recognize the quest icon borders, you can look at the symbol inside. If it's an exclamation mark, it means it's a brand new quest and you can start it here. If it's a broad arrowhead pointing to the right, it's part of a quest already in progress, and talking to this person will progress the quest. If it's two arrows chasing each other in a circle, it's a repeatable quest, meaning once you've finished it, you can accept it again if you want to. If the center of the symbol is green with a tick, it's the end of a quest, and speaking to that person will finish it. If you see a quest symbol above an NPC's head but it's red, it means that quest is locked for now. You might need a higher level or to have finished some previous quests to start it. While on a quest, you can open the world map and get some more information about where you're meant to go. If the next step in the quest is on your current map, you can simply walk there. But if the quest needs you to travel to a new area, you'll see the quest icon next to the name of the connected area. This makes it super simple to see where the game wants you to go. The starting quests often see you delivering items from one NPC to another. When this happens, you'll be prompted to move an item from your key item inventory and pass it over to the NPC. Just select the item you want to give them and choose Hand Over. Earning experience will level your character up. You can see your current level and accumulated experience bar at the bottom of the screen. The yellow bar will fill as you gain more experience, and as you level up, you'll unlock new quests, items, equipment, and combat actions. Most starting quests will have you running from place to place and talking to people, but eventually you'll have a quest that involves fighting something. If you open the quest journal and select the combat quest from the list, you'll be able to then click map and a world map window will open showing you exactly where the enemies you need to kill are. They'll be somewhere in this red circle. If you feel a quest is too difficult or time consuming, you can click abandon from the journal. You can always pick up an abandoned quest later. Some quests will take place within an instance. This is a smaller, separate part of the game, not part of the common overworld map. Certain instances, such as dungeons or guild leaves, can be entered with a pre-formed party. However, main story quest instances must be completed solo. Once you've progressed far enough into the game, you'll unlock Levequests. They're a bit different from normal quests, so let's explore them. 12. Levequests. Think of a Levequest as a request from a citizen of Eorzea. They're short tasks you're able to complete and be rewarded for. You can browse the available Levequests by speaking to a Levemate found throughout the world. Some tasks will see you gathering or crafting, others will be about killing a certain specific amount of enemies. Once you've accepted a Leve, you can open your journal to view it. Selecting the task from your journal shows an Initiate button. Most Leves must be completed within a time limit, and that time limit will start once you initiate it. You can choose to initiate whenever you like, but it's worth heading to the map destination first. Levequests take place in the shared overworld. However, if your task is to kill a specific enemy that will only spawn when you initiate the task, other players will not be able to attack that enemy. To accept a Leve task, you must have remaining allowance. You can see your remaining allowance to the bottom of your journal. You'll recover 3 allowances every 12 hours up to a maximum of 100. You may have up to 30 normal quests and 16 Levequests in your journal at any given time. Once you've finished your first Levequest, you'll unlock Guildhests, which are quite a bit tougher. 13. Guildhests and Duty Roulette. Once Guildhests become available, you'll be able to open the Duty Finder from the Duty Red Circle submenu. The Duty Finder shows you all the active Guildhests and dungeons you can currently join. These are instanced, small challenges requiring a few players. You can tick the selection box to the left of each duty name to show you're interested in joining it. Click the Join button and then you simply wait. The game will search for other players to complete the party, then once a party is formed, a window will pop up saying, "Would you like to start?" and you click Commence. Guildhests are explained very well in-game. They're mostly very short but intense combat challenges for smaller teams. Once you've finished your first, you'll unlock Duty Roulette. Open your Duty Finder and select the Roulette icon on the far left, the square with a question mark in it. Joining a Duty Roulette will randomly assign you to any duty you've got unlocked. You'll gain bonus experience and rewards when completing a duty roulette for the first time, or if you join as a specific in-demand class. You can see the words Adventure in Need Tank on the right by the rewards window, meaning if you join as a tank class, you'll get even more bonuses. Since quests, levies, and duties will see you fighting things, let's talk about combat. 14. Combat. Enemies are NPCs you can attack. Each enemy will have its level and name displayed above its head, and then a symbol to the left of its level. This symbol shows you whether the enemy is aggressive or non-aggressive. If it's blue, they're non-aggressive. If it's red and yellow, they're aggressive. Non-aggressive enemies will never attack you first, but will retaliate if you attack them. Aggressive enemies will attack you if you enter their aggression radius, meaning if you get too close, they will attack you. Final Fantasy XIV uses a tab targeting combat system. I'll explain using PC controls, but console players have the same system. You'll just use different buttons on your controller. Pressing tab will lock you onto the nearest enemy. If there are multiple enemies, pressing tab again will cycle through them. A floating arrow will show which enemy you're currently aiming at. Once you have an enemy target selected, right-click to begin auto-attacking. In my case, that means I'll shoot my bow, but for melee fighters, you'll need to move closer. The enemy you're currently auto-attacking will be shown by a rotating arrow circle above its head. You'll keep auto-attacking until the enemy is dead. Auto-attack is great, but to master your class, you'll need to use more powerful actions, roles, and traits. Remember the Actions and Traits menu we briefly looked at earlier? This is where it matters. Open the Actions and Traits submenu from your character red circle menu, then the Actions tab. You'll see all the actions your specific class has available and what level you need to be to use them. You can drag the actions from the Actions menu to your hotbar, ready for use in combat. You'll start with a basic level 1 action already assigned. The Role tab will show your attacks and abilities available to your general battlefield role, tank, healer, or DPS. Some of the roles are available to multiple classes. You'll just need to be the right level to unlock them. Finally, traits. These are specific changes that are made to certain actions as you level up, normally making them more powerful. You don't need to add these to your hotbar, they're just always active. Returning to combat, I'll tab target an enemy and use Heavy Shot. It will do more damage than a normal auto attack, and once combat starts, my auto attack will kick in as soon as the action finishes, so I'll always be attacking. Actions, just like items, have cooldowns, meaning you'll need to wait a while before you can use them again. Some actions, however, are linked to the global cooldown. This means once you've used an action, a short cooldown will be applied to all your actions, so you can't activate 10 actions at the same time for massive damage. You'll need to pace yourself and work out the best action to use at any time. Some actions apply buffs, generally positive effects, or debuffs, generally negative effects, to you or to your enemies. Any buff or debuff active on your character will be shown at the top middle of the screen. You can hover your mouse over the icon to see exactly what it's doing, but to make it super simple to see at a glance, if the icon is pointing upwards, it's a buff, and it's pointing downwards, it's a debuff. Some actions cannot be used until they're ready or have certain requirements met. Let's take a look at the first two archer actions, Heavy Shot and Straight Shot. Heavy Shot hits with a potency of 180 and has a 20% chance of making my character straight shot ready. Straight Shot hits with a potency of 200 but can only be used when I am straight shot ready. So I'll need to use Heavy Shot a few times and hope the straight shot ready activation happens. If an action needs a certain requirement to be met before you can use it, it will be dulled out while you're in combat. Once those requirements are met, it will be highlighted by a dotted yellow border, showing you that it's ready. Some classes can move while fighting without interrupting their attacks, so don't feel you have to go toe-to-toe with every enemy. You can run around and even run away. If you attack an enemy first, you'll get 100% of the experience for killing it. If you join the fight after the first attack, as in jumping in to help someone else out, you'll receive a percentage of experience based on how much you contributed to the fight. If you're on a quest and need to kill a specific enemy, that enemy will have the quest symbol displayed above its head, making them super easy to spot. Enemies have actions just like we do, and sometimes they can use powerful attacks against us. If an enemy is charging a powerful attack, you'll see a red zone on the ground slowly fill up. You need to move out of this red zone before it fills completely, or you'll be hit with a powerful attack. When someone tells you to stay out of the red, this is what they mean. Certain enemies will show a charging bar as they charge up a powerful attack. If a player uses an interrupt action, such as interject or head graze, the charging bar will be removed and the attack will be negated. Early on in the game, you'll receive the hunting log, a list of every enemy in every area of the game, and a challenge to kill them all several times. Completing each log entry earns you bonus experience. If the fight doesn't go your way and you're taken down to 0 hit points, you'll be knocked unconscious. You now have two choices. Wait for another player to revive you, as this passing kind-hearted player did for me, or return to your current home aetheryte. After being KO'd, your equipment will take a large amount of durability damage, so make sure you talk to a merchant and get it fixed back up. While exploring the world, you might get pulled into a fate battle, so let's examine that system next. Fate systems. Fate stands for Full Active Time Event. They're localized events that appear every few minutes across nearly every map. You can see any active fates on your world map, and all you need to do to join is walk into them. Think of them as small dynamic quests that anyone can get involved with. Sometimes you'll have to kill a mob of enemies, or a single powerful enemy, defend an area against waves of attackers, or escort an NPC from one place to another. While participating in a fate, what you need to do will be displayed in your duty list, just like your quests on the right hand side. Because fates are timed, you'll also see the remaining time left. Successfully completing a fate will reward you with both experience and sometimes items. You'll receive a rank based on how much you contributed. Better ranks will give you better rewards. If you join a fate below your level, you won't receive any rewards. However, if you click the level sync button, you'll be reduced down to the recommended power level and you will receive rewards. While it's possible to complete a fate all by yourself, it's a big advantage to team up and take them on as a party. So let's quickly look at teaming up. 16. Joining a party. Solo adventure has become much more popular recently in online games, but the great thing about MMORPGs is you can team up and adventure with your friends. The best way to do this is to form a party. Parties can share experience from killing monsters and enter dungeons and instances together. To form a party, all you need to do is interact with another player. On PC that means right-clicking them and selecting Invite to Party. At the time of this guide, if you're playing the free trial, you will not be able to create a party, but you can be invited to join one. You'll be able to see your current party members displayed on the left-hand side, and you're able to see their hit points, any buffs or debuffs they have applied to them, and their mana. If you're a healer, this is super useful, as you can see who needs healing. If you want to chat with your party, no matter how far apart you are, you can type /party before your message. This will make sure it only shows up to people in your current party. With a party gathered, you can venture forth and try to take on a dungeon. 17. Dungeons. The real test of combat comes from dungeons. These are longer, self-contained challenges that test a team of players. You must work together using all your skills to defeat multiple enemies. They're similar to Guildhests, but much more demanding. The first dungeon will be available to you after the level 15 quest, Your Starting City, Envoy, and its sequel, It's Probably Pirates. It will see you travelling to Lanosia and exploring Sastasha, a pirate-infested dungeon. This quest brings together all the starting areas of the game, so no matter where you begin, you will ultimately end up here. Before your first dungeon, you will gain access to the Hall of the Novice. This is an excellent training area that will teach you all the techniques you'll need to survive and reward you with some good equipment to get you geared up for your first dungeon. There are several dungeons that must be completed as part of the main story, and a few optional ones. If you want any chance of completing a dungeon, especially early in the game, you'll be going in as a party. If you don't have a preformed party, then don't worry. Just like Guildhests, the Duty Finder will organise a party for you. This is a beginner's guide, and by the time you reach level 15, you'll be way past beginner, so check back to this channel in the future for specific guides to every dungeon. If you want to equip yourself with some more powerful weapons or armour, but you're not a huge fan of combat, you could consider making things yourself. 18. Gathering and crafting. If you like being self-sufficient, there are many skills in the game that allow you to gather your own resources and then craft useful items from them. Gathering skills are grouped together and known as Disciples of the Land, and creation skills are grouped under Disciples of the Hand. To start learning a gathering profession, you must first complete the level 10 quest of your starting class and then head to the guild of the specific skill and speak to the guild master. There are 3 Disciples of the Land skills: mining, botany, and fishing. The mining guild is found in Uldar, the botany guild is in Gridania, and the fishing guild is in Limsa Lominsa. While you are able to learn all 3 disciplines, you'll likely start with whichever is in your starting zone. When you begin gathering, you'll unlock the Gathering Log from the Log's red circle menu. This log is a comprehensive in-game list of all gathering materials and where you can find them. Let's look at the process of learning botany. I'll head into the Botanist Guild and ask to join. They'll give me the weapon associated with botany. In this case, it's a hatchet. To change my class, I simply switch weapon, but when I do, notice how my armor automatically unequipped itself. That's because the armor I was wearing had a level requirement. Now on my archer, I met those requirements, but now I'm only a level 1 botanist. Thankfully, I kept my level 1 equipment so I can put some basic gear back on. My first task is to gather some latex. The quest description says I can find it from trees outside the Yellow Serpent Gate, so I'll find that gate on my map and head there now. Each gathering skill is different, but for botany I need to find mature trees to harvest. By using the action Triangulate, which has been added to my hotbar, my minimap will show all mature trees and I can begin harvesting. The tree is considered a gathering point. Multiple types of items can be collected from a single gathering point. When you interact with a gathering point, you'll see a list of materials available. Each item has a % chance of being gathered per attempt and a % chance of being gathered as high quality. Higher gathering levels and better equipment will increase both these chances. Every gathering attempt, both successful and unsuccessful, will reduce the health of the collection point. Disciples of the Land classes are all about collecting the raw materials, from wood to stone to fish. But what about making those things into something useful? For that, you'll want to be a Disciple of the Hand. There are 8 Hand classes located at their specific guild. As we're in Gridania, let's go join the Leatherworking Guild. As usual, I switch my class by switching my main weapon, and my first task is to craft a circle of leather. Starting a crafting skill has also unlocked the crafting log. The crafting log lists all possible recipes. Along the top you'll see the tab icons to switch between crafting disciplines you've unlocked, then in the central column the list of recipes. That's things you can actually make from this discipline. The list is sorted from simple at the top to complex at the bottom. Let's look at the first recipe, leather. We can see from the right hand side list below the item name it will require 1 earth shard and 1 piece of animal skin. The selection to the right allows me to change between normal quality animal skin or high quality animal skin, of which I have 3. As I switch between them, clicking the larger yellow number, you'll see the quality number in the top right change. The higher this quality number, the better end product I'll make. I know that enemies drop animal skin, but where do I get the earth shards from? Well, this is where gathering and crafting combine. Earth shards are actually gathered from trees, just like the latex was. I can check the gathering log and see earth shard. Then it shows me all the places they can be found. The gathering and crafting systems work together symbiotically, supplying the materials each other need. Let's craft this leather circle. I have the required materials, so I'll click Synthesize. I'll now take my position and get ready to craft. Just like combat, crafting requires using actions, except there's no time limit. You'll see the actions have been added to my hotbar automatically. We'll start with basic synthesis. When I perform this action, I'll try to craft the item. This new crafting window shows my progress to success, the quality of the item, and the item's remaining durability. Increasing either the progress or the quality will cost durability, so my aim is to increase the quality as much as I can and then finish the progress before the durability reaches 0. If we open the calculation menus just below, we'll be able to see all the extra crafting skills we'll unlock in time. These skills either increase the progress or the quality of the item. Each skill will cost us crafting points to use. You can see your remaining crafting points next to your hit point bar, where your mana bar used to be. For now, we only have one action available, Basic Synthesis. It simply increases progress, so let's use it. That one action was enough to successfully craft the item. Gathering and crafting are a nice distraction from the constant combat and ultimately allow you to craft some very powerful equipment. Eventually, you'll want to sell your created goods, but not to shops, to other players. And the best way to do that is through trade and the market board. 19. Trade and the market board. If you have a valuable item and aren't happy with the price a shop would buy it for, or you want to buy a rare piece of equipment that shops don't sell, you'll want to trade directly with another player, or use the market board, which is a worldwide auction house that allows players to buy and sell goods to other players. It's important to note that trading with other players and using the market board are not available on the old free trial. To trade another player, simply interact with them. On PC that means right-clicking and choose Trade. You'll be able to see what items you're offering, what items they're offering, and then any gil either of you are adding to the trade. If you need to buy something from far away, you'll want to use the market board. This is a buy and sell service that covers all cities on a single world. Open the market board interface and you'll see this. If you know the name of the item you want to buy, you can simply search for it. If you just want to browse, you can select a specific category from the square icons on the left. Let's have a look at main hand weapons for archers. Not many results. Well, that's because we're only searching for low-level items. If we increase this level parameter under the category choice, we'll suddenly find many more things for sale. The list on the right displays all items that fit our search criteria. Then the number to the right of the item shows how many people are currently selling it. 0 means there's no one selling this right now. Let's click on an item with a few sellers. This will bring up a new window showing the actual listings of this item, allowing us to see if the item being sold is high quality, has any materia attached, the price, and who's selling it. If you find an item you want to buy, simply click on it and purchase it. Any items bought will be automatically added to your inventory. Once you're a higher level, you can employ a retainer to take care of some of this for you, but that's for a more advanced guide. You'll need to be level 17 before you can hire a retainer and have completed most of the main story quest up to that point. You can only sell items on the market board by using a retainer. 20. PvP. Once you've proved your worth against the enemies in the game, you can try and take on other players. Player versus player combat, or PvP for short, is quite a lot different from bosses or duties. Fighting a real human player is much more complex and will be covered fully in a Final Fantasy XIV PvP guide. 21. Expansions. Once you've played the free trial and decided to purchase a month's membership, you'll need to look into buying the expansions. These are huge amounts of additional content that add hundreds of hours gameplay. As of this guide, there are 3 main expansions: Heaven's Ward, Stormblood, and Shadowbringers. Each expansion continues the main story and brings new classes, jobs, races, items, weapons, armor, generally more of everything. If you buy the latest expansion, you'll actually get all the previous expansions included for free. 22. Additional resources. Final Fantasy XIV is one of the most documented games in the world. There are in-depth wikis listing every item and where to find it, quest guides, active discords, active YouTubers, and more. I've linked some of the more useful resources in the video description below. End. If you're still here, then congratulations. There's so much more to learn, but now you know everything you need to know to start playing Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. It's a lot to take in, but play slowly and ask your fellow players for help when you need it. If you have any questions, then leave them in the comments below and I'll try to answer them as soon as I can. If you found the video useful, then a like or sub is much appreciated, and a massive thank you to my supporters on Patreon and Twitch who make all my content possible. If you want to chat live, there are links to the Twitch, Twitter, and Discord chat below. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a great day.